Good morning. I'm Bob Colling with Ozark Naturopathic, and this is a show where we get together and we talk about the 100 trillion cells in your body and how to keep them well and how to change our lifestyles and understand what's making us sick and what we can do to remove the roadblocks that prevent our body from getting well. I'm a naturopath. I'm not a medical doctor. A naturopathic uh, healer is someone who believes that the body was created by God or an intelligence to heal itself, and it heals itself on the foods that were created by God for this body to thrive, and the herbs that He created for this body to thrive on. These are all foods that are design, the intelligent design. We have to look at that from that point of view, is that our bodies are intelligent. There's an intelligence in our individual cells. That one individual cell had enough intelligence to make a whole you. From the moment you were conceived, it grew and multiplied and made a whole brain and a whole body and circulatory system, heart, lung, livers, spine, feet, hands, all of that. So there is an intelligence going on here. And we have to believe that the intelligence of our bodies is much smarter than the pharmaceutical and medical community is. Now, I'm not anti-medical by any stretch of the imagination. I believe that they do a lot of good things, but we begin to, as a naturopath, we believe and we begin to separate our thinking when it comes to using chemicals to treat the body and force the body to do something that really wasn't designed to do. Many times I find that when I'm working with people that they'll develop high blood pressure, and I'm asking them, or they have all kinds of different illnesses and sicknesses, and I ask them, why are you sick? And we ask them, well, what's causing your sickness? Many times when they go to the doctor's not really looking for the cause. All they want to do is give you a medication that will treat the symptom, but they never really get to the root of the cause of the problem. They either don't know, or they don't have the time to explain it to you, and they probably feel like you don't have the self-discipline to change your lifestyle or your habits or whatever it is that's causing you to make you sick. Now, one of the things that we believe, and one of the things that I do with the clients that I have, is the first question I have is, do you really want to get well? And believe it or not, some of them actually have to tell you that they got to think about that, because sometimes they're not willing to do what they have to do to get themselves well. And the other question I have is, are you willing to give up the things that have been making you sick to bring you to this point? Our bodies are amazing healing machines. They are self-healing, self-regulating organisms, and they'll expel toxins on their own. They'll expel waste. Our 60 trillion cells that make up our body are basically that. They're just cells. And if you can understand the fundamental basis of how a cell works individually, then you understand pretty much the entire body, because it doesn't really make any difference if it's a lung cell or a heart cell or a skin cell or an eye cell or a nerve cell. They all fundamentally do the same thing. They just have different functions within the body. But one of the things, the three things they fundamentally all do is they consume energy. You feed it. They burn the energy which is to perform their specific function. And then they expel the waste, poop. You know, they poop. And since they can't run off and go to the bathroom like we can, they have to poop in place. They have to be fed in place. And so we have to have a couple of different systems in our body to do that. One is a circulatory system, which is basically blood, and it carries all the nutrients and the oxygen to every single cell in your body, including the cells in your teeth, the cells in your bones, the cells at the end of your nervous system, the cells in your brain, everywhere. And then those cells perform their function, and then they poop. And where do they poop? They don't poop back into the circulatory system. They poop in the lymphatic system. They poop in the fluids that are in your body that are not blood. Now, the blood makes up about a third of your entire body, and it's basically what I call the kitchen. It's where all your nutrients are prepared and sent to the different cells, and those cells are fed oxygen and nutrients. The lymphatic system is basically your sewer system. It's the system that carries all the waste, disposes of it, neutralizes it, kills the bacteria, kills the viruses, neutralizes the toxins and the waste, and then prepares it to be eliminated by your bowels and your kidneys, or your skin, or your lungs. And if either one of those two systems are not working right, things go bad quick. Now, most of the time the medical community spends so much time worrying about the blood system, which is really a very basic system that's easy to understand. It needs to be hydrated. It operates in a very, very narrow range of pH, which is whether it's acid or alkaline. The blood has to be a certain pH balance, and if you're not, you'll die very quickly if it's too acidic. And then you have a lymphatic system which can be relatively more acidic because, of course, it's carrying all these wastes. And you have hundreds of, probably about 700 or 800 lymph nodes in your body that actually work like little tiny septic tanks or furnaces that the waste move through. And there's lymphocytes and macrophages inside these little nodules. They look like little grapes hanging off of a grapevine, and they destroy the viruses. They destroy your bacteria. They break down the toxins. They break down the metals, and they prepare them to be expelled from your body. And if either one of those systems back up, then you start getting problems. And most of the time, they always concentrate on the blood pressure and your cholesterol and that kind of thing. But they don't ever really take into consideration your lymphatic system, which is 70% of all the fluids in your body that aren't, and it's not blood. It's basically fluid. It's the stuff that's in your saliva. It's in the mucosal. And when you cough up mucus, that's called lymph. When you cut yourself or you have a big old juicy pimple and you pop the pimple, you get a little bit of blood and you get a whole bunch of water. The water is lymph. That's the fluid that is basically a slow moving river that's inside your body that funnels everything back to your eliminative organs. And what we find is that most people have very poor eliminative organs. Their bodies are very much compromised in that area. Their kidneys don't filter right. Their 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 bowel is not filtering properly. Things need to move out of your body. If you know you've heard the old adage that you are what you eat. Well, it's not quite that way. Mostly, I believe it's you become what you can't eliminate. In other words, if you can't get rid of these toxins and waste in your body, you'll become toxic, you'll become sick, your cells will get sick, your organs will become sick, your body will start to develop disease and illness, and that's what we're here to talk about and how to teach you how to eliminate these conditions and avoid them and turn your body around. I mean, there there's so many different diseases that the medical community has labeled that really probably aren't diseases at all. They're really just deficiencies of nutrients and the ability of the body to eliminate its waste. And once you get everything working right and all those fluids are flowing in the right direction and everything is moving the right way, then what happens is you start to get well. Your body starts to heal itself. And so that's what this whole series is going to be about is uh, the great lymphatic system of your body, your circulatory system, toxins, the kind of foods that make us toxic, inflammations, uh, and why our bodies do and adapt to the environment that we have. You know, a lot of times it's just the air that we're breathing is toxic, the food that we eat, the chemicals that they put in all of our foods now. And it's not so much just the one thing. The FDA does these studies all the time, and they study an individual component of a food item, and they say, well, yeah, the body can tolerate a certain amount of toxins, and so they say, well, yeah, the body. This is not this is not what would be considered a highly toxic component to this food item. But what they don't take into consideration is the accumulation of all of them. See, everybody is putting these things in their foods. And if you're eating processed foods of any kind, you're going to get a certain amount of toxins in everything that you eat. And the accumulative effect of all those toxins is what literally makes us sick. It creates huge amounts of deficiencies. Many of these foods, they strip out all the nutrients and they put a few back in them, which are synthetic nutrients. And those synthetic nutrients are not really designed to be absorbed by our bodies. You know, they appear to look like they will, but most of the time our bodies have a really hard time metabolizing these synthetics. Uh, Real food that comes from real fruit and real vegetables are what your body's designed to thrive on. And if you want to retrain your body to get well and you want to retrain your waste, then you know you can say, well, I don't like vegetables and I don't like fruit. I'd rather eat, you know, my Big Macs and my French fries and all those things. Well, then you're never going to get well. I can say that right now. You never will get well. All you'll do is continue to get sicker and sicker. And that's what this whole series is going to be about, is talking about all these things. So I really want to thank you today for coming and being here. We're gonna start our question session next, and then each day we're going to be here for probably a half hour to an hour. If we need to be, we'll be here longer. And depending on the questions that we get and the amount of time it takes me to answer them, I'll do my best to answer these questions. And from a naturopathic point of view, I don't give medical advice. I don't treat people. I don't recommend treatments or cures. That's not what we do here. We are specifically here to educate you and teach you how you can go out there and heal create the conditions and feed your body the foods that it needs to heal itself. And that's what we're going to do. Okay, let's turn that off.